Jeez. The one at King's Landing?
Yeah.
The creepy old perv?
Was he a creepy old perv?
Well, like, he had Sansa convinced that he wasn't actually looking at her while she was changing.
I do not even remember that.
Sansa's the sister that tried to hit with the prince in the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
And she did. And she...
I'm only on episode 4. Hold up.
Okay, my bad. Get caught up.
I just started. I'm only on episode 4. I need to figure out how to make the HBO Go not hate me, but I'm just trying to find it illegally online. I'm just going to download them.
All right. Kayla Costner, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Trying to find things illegally online. We don't support that here at ComicsOnline.
No. Some of us actually purchased season 1 on DVD.
The rest of us borrow somebody else's HBO Go. Anyway, hey, and now there's the HBO to go something.
Can
HBO.
I get a pizza?
Right. I think it's 30 minutes or less.
Ooh.
Right.
Sweet. So I get Game of Thrones and a pizza? That's like dinner and a movie.
You can.
Awesome.
So, hello again, and welcome to the ComicsOnline podcast, season 15, episode 39. I'm your host, Kevin Gaussoin. With me today, as usual, is my co-host, Troy David Phillips, store manager here at Flashback Comics and Games in Woodbridge, Virginia. Part 1, as always, is Troy's show. This is the Flashback Top 5, and we talk about not only just everything comics, but we talk about specifically our top 5 picks for comics each week.
Now, I want to mention before we get into the top 5 for this week, I had a chance to read some comics. It was Father's Day this weekend, and I took the opportunity to kick my feet up, and so I had some quality reading time with my 2 cats. First, my cat Winter, and then later my cat Lucy. I love my cats. My cats love me. I'm comfortable furniture as far as they're concerned.
Do they call you Daddy?
They don't really call me much of anything except, hey, it's time to put food in the bowl. So as I
sounds like my children.
As I sat and I was reading my stuff, I took the opportunity to read from DC Comics just this past week, Dr. Fate and Martian Manhunter and Harley Quinn Power Girl and JLA. Now,
I read JLA.
Harley Quinn Power Girl was a lot of fun. Harley Quinn Power Girl going through the teleport ring, Vartox, a Bronze Age Superman character, Vartox, hijinks. It's a lot of fun. It's very much like the main Harley Quinn series, lighthearted and kind of disconnected from the rest of the continuity. Now, Martian Manhunter, surprisingly good. I love John Jones, the Martian Manhunter, and apparently John has some surprises about his origins and his purpose for being on Earth and the presence of other Martians.
Is this a new twist on the...
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, there's some new twists. If you haven't read it, I'm not going to spoil it.
I like John. I like John, so I'm interested in checking that out.
You need to get in on this.
And is that a number 1 or a number 41?
Number 1. Number 1.
From last week?
Yes.
All right.
Now, another number 1 from last week was Dr. Fate, written by Paul Levitz. And it has what I want for Dr. Fate. It has the new character, Khalid, whom I really do like. It reintroduces him. So if you weren't reading Earth 2, you'll be okay. You could just jump right in here, and the story will be fresh, and it'll make sense to you. The Egyptian gods are represented in this, and Dr. Fate has always kind of had a little bit of that Egyptian motif, much like Wonder Woman has had the Greco-Romans hanging over her head. It's got what I want to have in it, and the mystery unfolding makes me want to read it more. I need 6 issues to be out already so I can finish the story arc.
Nice.
So far, though, my prize winner, honestly, Brian Hitch outdid himself.
He did.
On JLA. Now, if you read Justice League number 41, you're getting into the Darkseid War. This is not part of the Darkseid War. It's not a crossover. You don't have to read both books together, but you should read this book most definitely. Brian Hitch's artwork is beyond reproach. Maybe you were a fan of his on the Ultimates. That's a very good place to catch him. Maybe you were a fan of his on that Image book, Real Heroes.
Okay.
But Brian Hitch is on the writing helm as well as the art helm. And so what he has given us is a conflict that justifies the characters all being together. When you have Green Lantern and Wonder Woman and Superman on a team, then there needs to be a reason for these characters to be together. And the conflict is great enough to make their ensemble work. Cyborg. It took me a second as reading the book to understand what it was that was clicking, and what clicked is Cyborg isn't just standing in the tower teleporting people and, being the behind-the-scenes tech guy. He's actually up front shooting, beaming, blasting,
More like
jumping.
we're used to seeing Cyborg in a Teen Titans role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Batman doing what he does. So Brian Hitch obviously has gotten the gist of Batman. This is how Batman is important to the team. Superman, focal, front and center here
Definitely.
in the mystery.
This is a Superman story that's good.
It's very good, and there is a mystery. There's something happening, and we don't understand fully what's happening, but it's not obscure and convoluted and losing you in the effluvia. You want to know where this is going. You get your teeth into this and just keep going forward. So JLA from last week, on point. Brian Hitch, well done. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
Now,
I read that. I read Batman 41 from a couple of weeks ago, and I read a bunch of Secret Wars. And I think that's as far as I got last week. It seems like every week I'm buying more than I'm reading, which is a problem.
Kind
You
of.
can see eventually that, you just never catch up, and that's no good. You want to read them all. Isn't that right, Troy?
You absolutely do. And sometimes you just have to take an evening where you stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning and you read comics.
That's what I'll do another night, because tonight it's all about this show. So Troy, let's start out with our top 5. Are you ready?
I am. I'm going to start with the Image book written by Matt Hawkins, and this is The Tithe. Third issue of The Tithe. Now, this is a really awesome heist story. If you like that kind of heist story, think Ocean's 11, that type of thing, then this will appeal to you. The heists actually take place at churches that have been accused of fraud. There's
I'm into it.
an awful lot of money here. There's some computer hacking chicanery going on. There are two very interesting characters that are involved in the investigation. One of them has a checkered past. I don't want to reveal too much here, but I do want to tell you that The Tithe is an excellent book that you want to get into. Limited series from Image Comics, but definitely dive into this. It's freaking sweet.
All right. So your next one, Superman 41.
My next one is Superman 41, yes. Now, I talked a little bit about the number ones from last week. This week, we're seeing more of the number 41s, the books that are continuing following the Convergence mini-event. Superman 41 picking up and going forward with, crack that open. Yeah, let's take a look at that.
What?
John Romita still handling.
John Romita Jr.
Yes. And Klaus Janson. Yeah, it's beautiful stuff. And we're seeing Superman and the fluctuation in his powers. We just a few months ago we saw the new solar flare power from Superman, and then we saw him depower himself. And we're still dealing with the fallout from that. So continue with Superman. It's excellent stuff.
All right.
And I'm wearing the shirt.
Another 41.
So you knew that I was going to talk about issue number 41 of Aquaman. Aquaman has been an awesome book from the New 52 when it was still being called New 52. And it was incredible. Jeff Johns took the character and just made him engaging, made him focal, made him, really a badass, a butt-kicking warrior from Atlantis. And that has continued. Aquaman has met his mother and explored his Atlantean origins, and now he is on the run from Atlantis. Only he can make things right. So if you've liked Aquaman in the Justice League, more of the same. If you haven't been reading Aquaman in the pages of Justice League, you should. There was another thing about JLA, actually, that I liked, and I have to mention it. Aquaman in front of the UN.
Yeah.
In terms of treaties with treaties and relationships with Atlantis, with the United Nations. It's nice to see that real world stuff going on.
Back in the day, Aquaman, they sunk San Diego and became Sub Diego. Now they're going to my second home of St. Louis, and they're having a problem there. Are they going to come to Woodbridge next? That's what I would like to know, DC. Are you following me?
Yes, they're stalking you, Kev.
All right, I figured.
So Aquaman 41. Now, next up on my hit parade, I'm going to Dynamite Entertainment, this time for John Carter, Warlord of Mars. I have been loving this book since Dynamite picked it up. Oh, Lord, I can't even think of how many years it's been now, because it doesn't feel like years. Every story arc I have enjoyed all along up to this point. The first story arc, the Ron Mars written story arc, where John Carter got to battle an opponent of his from the American Civil War. John Carter, of course, was a Confederate captain. He battled against a captain from the Union forces. And now we are moving right along. John Carter, Deja Thoris, still having adventures on Mars, based on the stories by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and significantly better than the film of the same name.
I still want to see more films. People talk a lot of smack about that movie, but I enjoyed it, and I thought it was a good first outing. And if people would have gone to see it, we would see more of them, and they would have gotten better.
Yeah, well, I think the John Carter film series could be a lot better, and we might talk about that on some installment of ComicsOnline.com, where we talk about everything geek pop culture.
Definitely. The Shadow.
The Shadow.
Number
a favorite,
100.
Yes, a favorite of mine, the pulp action character, The Shadow. From novels to radio shows and comics and a feature film, and here we are with this nice big thick Dynamite special, big glossy paper, 48-page square bound. It's fantastic. I've very much been enjoying the stories of Kent Allard. The Shadow knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men, man of mystery, travels around the world. And I've enjoyed The Shadow everywhere where I have seen him, whether it's been in Masks or any of the other, like the Justice Inc. that was not that long ago. We teamed up with, The Avenger and the Spider. They capture the essence of the pulp action, guns, guts, glory, two-fisted. Yeah, the Shadow is great.
So issue 100, I'm assuming they must be going off of the numbering structure of something else. That Dynamite hasn't done 100, have they?
I don't know if they're combining all of the issues that they have done, because they've been doing the Shadow for quite a stretch.
Still, that's quite a long time.
Yeah,
and this is a nice thing for anybody to pick up.
Yeah,
it's Howard Chaykin and the Shadow and a nice square bound edition. Worth picking up, I'd say.
The specials from Dynamite, and there have been other specials. Doc Savage had one, The Avenger had one, Red Sonja had one, The Shadow now has this one. The specials are a good jumping in place for a new reader. The stories tend to be self-contained, so if you hadn't been following it along, then you could jump in and start following from that point. So I'm done raving about The Shadow 100 now. Let's go on into some of Kevin's top fives.
All right.
Starting with No Surprises. I'm actually surprised you didn't make this one last.
No, I know, but this is first, because this is going to be the first one I read. The Walking Dead, number 143, and you're going to see a bit of a theme to what I'm doing here. I got 3 television shows and then some Secret Wars. Walking Dead, the comic book has been fantastic, as always, and as we go into issue 143, fans will remember that the fair, the festival, is just starting, and at the very end of last issue, the mother, the leader of the Whisperers, has just walked up in non-Whisperer garb. She's not wearing the skin of a zombie, and she walks up and says, "Oh, hi, I'm whatever her name was," and you're like, "Oh no, this can come to no good. She's gonna try to kill everyone." Anyhow, but then this is the title here is a union, and on the cover here we've got Carl and her daughter, the head of the Whisperer's daughter. Are they going to be unionified? Maybe.
I guess we'll have to wait and see. Are you ready to get your second pick?
Second pick, Orphan Black #4. Now, as I've said before, each issue focuses on a specific Sistra, one of the Clone Club. This issue, we've got Cosima, and of course, she's the scientist out of all the clones, and she's in the show, she's working and in the books, she is working to find the cure to what ails them. And those of you who are caught up on the show, which we will talk about soon at this part 2, scroll down after you're done listening to this. Anyhow. Fantastic. Cosima is certainly one of my favorite. I love all the clones, though. I mean, aside from the evil one. You don't know about the evil one? You better watch the show, and you better read this comic.
This artwork is actually very lush. I'm just going to open it up here. There's really no explosions or fight scenes or anything, but this artwork is beautiful.
Yeah, the fight scenes in Orphan Black are few and far between, and usually have to do with the more violent of the Sistras. But anyway, Orphan Black, if you don't read it, and if you don't watch it, also watch it. The third of my television shows is, of course, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the comic book is just titled S.H.I.E.L.D., and this is issue number, 5, 6? What are we on here? 7. Oh my goodness, 7 already. It's been fantastic. They've swapped around artists quite a bit. Starting out, they've all been quality, so nothing to complain about. But I'm just really
choked up.
I'm really choked up because we've got not only do we have Quake, we've got Daisy Johnson, who you would know if you watch the show, is usually called Sky, and then we've got her father in the show, Mr. Hyde. So. Yeah, both of them appearing in issue 7 here, so I'm excited to read that. And the cover says, "You asked for them, Quake and Mr. Hyde." And of course, in the comics, Quake is now partnered up with Winter Soldier, yeah?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, so that's fun stuff. There's a bunch of Secret Wars and Battle World stuff. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This week, I think we've got another 7 issues, but the one that I've chosen is Marvel Zombies versus Age of Ultron. As you know, those of you who are following the Secret Wars, outside of the wall, outside of the shield, as they call it, outside of the wall that protects all the other lands on Battle World, you have a war raging between 3 main factions, those being the technological, the zombies, and the the bugs from the negative zone.
The Annihilation Wave.
The Annihilation Wave. And so we've got Ultron, and you've got 2 of those factions, Ultron and Marvel Zombies, in this one. And this is yet another #1. They're really good at pumping out the #1s lately, which sounds gimmicky, but it's been fantastic. Another one that came out this week, and this is maybe one of my plus ones, is the second issue of MODOK Assassin, which is fantastic. Just silly humor, but excellent reading all the same. Looking for some images that you can use there.
Well, I saw the last name. I wanted to make sure that this was in fact artist Steve Pugh, who's yes, it is artist Steve Pugh.
James Robinson and Steve Pugh.
So
yeah.
James Robinson, I don't believe is physically capable of writing a bad comic story, whether it was the Fantastic Four or Starman or Earth 2 or anything that he did with the Justice League. I believe that if you pick up a James Robinson comic, you're going to get something of high quality.
You know how I say, Troy, the best, my favorite things are 80s Marvel and then 90s Vertigo, and anything else I don't like. But then I think, well, there's all on the Marvel side, you've got Generation X, and I did like Generation X. On the DC side, there was one superhero comic that I read, and that was James Robinson's Starman. If you haven't already, please do yourself a favor. If you like superhero comics at all, Starman will just blow your mind. It's fantastic story. It has a beginning, middle, and end. It's about 60 issues-ish, somewhere in there.
I think so. What's kind of funny to me is a different version of Starman was used when James Robinson was on Justice League.
Was it
Justice
Michael?
League of America? I believe so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, you're just going to use up all the Starman, aren't you?
Well, and all the Starmen were in that Starman series, kind of like when Neil Gaiman did Sandman, he brought in all of the other Sandmen as well, the characters who were called Sandman, because he wasn't going to be, no. This is about Morpheus, but the other people, no, they're invited to the party. They're Sandman as well. Anyway, I've got Howard the Duck trapped in a world that he's perfectly comfortable with, or something to that effect. All of us hairless apes are nothing more than a joke to the master of quack fu. But once partnered with Doctor Strange, fun hijinks are going to ensue. As the cover says, this is a Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars tie-in, a Deadpool Secret Wars tie-in, but it's not a Secret Wars tie-in. What does that mean? I don't know. It's Howard the Duck. You're going to have a good time, and if you're paying attention, it's probably going to make you think, because Howard the Duck originator Steve Gerber would not have it any other way, and it seems like everybody to date has kind of really paid homage to the feel of Howard the Duck, where sure, it's a talking duck and this wackiness, but he's much like other characters like Cerebus and that sort of thing, where you've got an
anthropomorphic character.
It distracts a little bit from reality, but really it takes you deeper into the philosophies of life, whether it's politics or the nature of being human.
Yeah, well, it's one of the things I think about the Steve Gerber series was the satire and the subtleties, the underwriting of the main character. I feel like if you're a fan of sex criminals, Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky,
I'm against them.
And you really need to check this book out. It's Chip Zdarsky by himself, but if you like sex criminals, half the reason for that is Chip Zdarsky. So here he is on Howard the Duck.
Every Tuesday. Just kidding, parents and children. That's a joke.
Yes. So yeah, that's our top five.
That's our top five. That's a good week for comics. You should come into this store, Flashback Comics and Games here in Woodbridge, Virginia, and talk to Troy. Is that where we are? Yeah, you should talk to Troy because he's so good.
Oh, well, where is he? I want to talk to him.
This man. Do you need a mirror? It's that guy.
Oh my God, I am Pagliacci the Clown.
Yeah. Anyway, join us here every week. We publish this generally about Thursday morning-ish. We like to. It'll be on the same channel that you're watching right now. It's amazing, right? How you're getting it now is how you'll get it again every week. Maybe not absolutely every week, but about 48 weeks a year, we'll say. And I hope you enjoy it. Also, part 2, here we keep it PG, and when we're talking comics here in the store, but part 2, we do the swears, and we talk about everything geek pop culture, so I hope you'll join us for both. I hope you will add us on Facebook and like us on Twitter. And
No.
It's the opposite.
Like us on Facebook.
Wait, take that. Reverse it.
Follow us on Twitter.
All of the things.
And subscribe to us on YouTube.
And ComicsOnline.blip.tv is where you can find all the +1 things, and we've got a bunch of conventions coming up where we're going to do interviews on there as well, so you got that going for you.
And plus, you might actually find a shot of Kevin cosplaying as the Submariner.
I would need to really work out for that. I'm not ready for that yet. I need to. Are we going to start training? We're going to do some training. Get some weights in here.
I guess.
Okay.
We could bench press long boxes.
It's funny. When I'm moving, that's when I get the most exercise. Is carrying my long boxes because those things are heavy.
Well, yeah. You know what? When I move, you can carry my long boxes.
Are you going to move?
Not soon, but it'll happen.
Yeah,
I trust you.
I'll help you.
Okay.
So, we'll see you next week, folks.
Yes, indeed.
From leaping tall buildings to going off like gamma bombs. Switch your internet browser to ComicsOnline.com.